All right, and for those listening on the podcast, we continue with a little between the lines action. Our good friend Cam Tucker from BCLC and PlayNow.com is with us. Well, Cam, I'll tell you what, if based on early indications here, we could hopefully be looking at an upset. These Lions opening as a 5.5 underdog at Saskatchewan, and the Riders winning all three games and covering the spread in the process this year, right? So take us through that one.
Yeah, so the BC Lions, they opened, like you said, Matt, 5.5 point underdogs on the road in Saskatchewan. That has since come down just a little bit, down to 5 points now. And I do wonder, if we start to see news that Nathan Rourke might start, what does that do for the line? I'd imagine that it might come down a little bit as we get closer to kickoff, depending on the quarterback news. And it looks like reports that he was out of practice today. So definitely good news. Hopefully, he continues to trend in the right direction, and that could impact the Lions going forward. Like you said, Matt, the Saskatchewan Roughriders off to a really good start this year, 3-0 straight up, but they're also 3-0 against the spread, and in all three of those matchups, they were the favorite. For the Lions, they have their work cut out for them this week. You go into Saskatchewan, it's going to be a raucous crowd, as we know it always is, and now for the BC Lions, it's time to try to put a win on the board here because the last two games against Winnipeg, they've had a difficult time. Nobody's going to feel sorry for them. So you got to come out here and, try to get an upset win, like you said. And, it's interesting because we talked at the start of the season about this. The Lions win total at the start of the season was over under 9.5. And the odds makers at the time, seemed confident based on the odds that the over would hit. And now but we did say that the first 6 or 7 weeks would definitely be the most difficult part of their season. And you get Winnipeg back to back. You have Winnipeg on a short week. And now you go into Saskatchewan, and the Roughriders look pretty good. They're a pretty exciting football team. They get that late win on that kickoff return in Toronto last week. So, yeah, it's going to be a difficult test for the Lions here. But we knew kind of going into the start of the season, the first 6 or 7 weeks would definitely be the most difficult on their schedule.
Cam, we all know it. Availability is your best ability. That's a sports cliche, but talk to me about what that's done for Nathan Rourke being unavailable last week for the Lions and Trevor Harris being available for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and what that's all done for their MOP odds.
Yeah, we've seen the MOP odds kind of fluctuate through the first, 3 weeks of the season. Nathan Rourke had that great performance in week 1 and kind of moved up to the top of the ladder. The week 2 against Winnipeg was definitely a more difficult test. They were able to air the ball out, in the second half, and Nathan Rourke picked up some yardage. But obviously being unavailable last week for the Lions, his MOP odds dropped all the way down to plus 900. So he's about 4th or 5th right now on the list of players for that award. Trevor Harris, meanwhile, he's moved up to plus 600. He's tied with Zach Collaros for the second best odds to win the most outstanding player. It's really interesting going into this week because Trevor Harris is kind of getting more of the headlines, obviously, with his play. He's been very good, but second in the league in passing yards, 5 touchdown passes, 3 interceptions, which, I'm sure every quarterback would like to reduce that number. But, I kind of expect, Trevor Harris has been good, but I'm starting to look at that run game for Saskatchewan. And I think that that's been a key to their success. AJ Ouellette, back-to-back games in which he's rushed for 90 yards or more. And when you can run the ball in the Canadian Football League or the NFL or college or wherever it might be, if you can run the ball successfully, that's usually going to mean that the quarterback is going to have success too, because you have to defend against that run game. It opens up so much in the passing game. And so Trevor Harris, he's been very good and moved up to second or tied for second with Zach Collaros for the MOP odds.
All right, Keon Hatcher off to a hot start, leads the CFL at 294 yards receiving. So he's on pace to smash his preseason over-under of 950.5.
Yeah, what a start to the season that he's had. And, it's so nice for him coming off of that Achilles injury, almost 2 years ago, comes back in the lineup last year. I thought he did pretty good when he got back into the lineup. It's never easy to come back from an Achilles injury, or any sort of ACL or tear like that. Any serious, significant injury is going to set you back. He's been very good this year. And I think the one thing that we're taking note of is the explosive plays down the field. He's got, looking at the stats today, he's got the longest reception in the CFL season so far at 77 yards. And he's got 3 plays of 30 yards or more through the air. And that's, among the league leaders as well. So he's off to a great start. Definitely getting that share of the targets right now. I believe it's 21 targets in his last 2 games. So he's having a really good season. Knock on wood, he keeps this up. But like you said, Matt, right now he's on pace to smash the over 950.5 that was at the start of the season, which was an interesting line. It's very difficult for 2 teams to essentially support 2,000-yard receivers, and I would say that Justin McInnis is probably on his way to that number as well. So those are the 2 guys. If you're going to air the ball out, those are the 2 guys that you need going the most.
And Cam, so as the recent success of Keon Hatcher, has that got him into your week 4 bet boost on PlayNow.com?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're trying some things here for sure, but yeah, I like Keon Hatcher 50 plus receiving yards, and we're going to parlay that with Justin McInnis 50 plus receiving yards. And I kind of broke it down. We're starting to see that target share really pick up. The explosive plays are really working for him, and the fact that he's the league leader in receiving yards. So I definitely think that he's going to hit 50 plus receiving yards in this game. And you look at the other side of that, Justin McInnis starting to round into form, right? We saw in 2024, he burst onto the scene. And this year, he has that week 1 game where maybe he's a little bit quiet until the second half. And then we start to see him put in the work and get the production. But back-to-back weeks for Justin McInnis, in which, he's combined for, I think it's 20 targets in the last 2 games, starting to see his production really go up. And look at what he's done to Saskatchewan in the past. Like, look at last year, he had in week 6, I think it was, he had 14 targets, 14 catches for over 240 receiving yards. That's absolutely ridiculous. They followed that up later in the season against the Riders. He had 6 catches for 119 yards. So he's had the Roughriders number last season. He's a former Saskatchewan Roughrider as well. He may have gotten the revenge game out of his way last year, but definitely I still think that he's going to be super pumped up for this game. So I do like these 2-star receivers, Keon Hatcher, 50-plus receiving yards, and Justin McInnis, 50-plus receiving yards. And we'll look for the boost on site at PlayNow Sports in our odds boost section, probably on Friday.
Hey, I'll say it for Justin McInnis. It's definitely personal when he goes back to play the Roughriders, the team that drafted him and the team that ultimately let him come over to BC. So he's our prize. So
that's
looking forward to seeing Justin there on Saturday.
You know what though, going back to it, you have to beat a team in which the fan base puts watermelons on their heads. Like that's it, right? So yeah, it's a big game. Looking forward to it, and we'll see how the lines move throughout the week if there's news on Nathan Rourke too.
Yeah, the whole watermelon thing. It is.
That's a good promo for the watermelon smash.
It's Saskatchewan. What else is there to do? So we'll do it again next week, my boy.